Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be doing another review for you today of the Elinchrom ELC 500, which is Elinchrom's latest 500 watt flash. I'm going to be comparing it against previous Elinchrom flashes and finding out what upgrades and features it has, and also giving you my own personal opinion on it. Okay, so one of the first things you notice about this new Elinchrom is the location of the power cable. Let me show you. So it actually goes in at the back, underneath the unit, whereas before the previous Elinchroms used to plug in at the back. Now this seems like quite a good idea, at least at the moment. I guess as they get older, that could be a problem. If they get a little bit loose, they might just fall out or something. That I don't know as yet. Hopefully that won't happen. Generally, I would say this Elinchrom seems to be a lot better made, and the quality feels more robust, a bit stronger. And also, I'll give you a close-up of this, but the handle is completely different as well. It's a lot wider, and so if you've got big hands especially, it's going to be a lot easier to grip. Yeah, so as you can see, it looks very sleek and elegant. If turn around to the front, they've also redesigned the front cap. So if I take the cap off and have a close-up here, you can actually see there's now a protective glass dome over the flash tube. And there's obviously no normal light bulb, just an LED diode in the middle, which is supposed to equal 150 watts. I have to say it doesn't seem to be as bright as that. Maybe it's just my imagination, but it doesn't seem to be as bright as a 150 watt bulb, but I could be wrong about that. I wanted to show you the handle here, which has quite a nice innovative feature. So it's just a regular handle as all the Elinchroms before it have done. You just rotate clockwise to tighten, and now it's fully tight. You loosen it off by rotating anti-clockwise. However, you have this little button here, which if you push in, you can then change the angle of the handle, which is quite nice if you want to avoid getting the handle caught in wires, etc. Maybe an umbrella or something. So you can just move it out the way, and as I'm moving that, the flash head is still locked into position. So I think that's quite a nice feature. So here is the big change. Everything is now on a screen which powers up, and the whole control interface has been completely redone, which I think is a really, really good thing. Seems to be quite intuitive, and I'll run you through some of the different features on these. So before I actually go into the menu and show you those, I just wanted to show you a feature on the side of the unit which I think is quite interesting. This is the logo on the side, but it actually serves a different purpose as well, because it illuminates different colors depending on which radio group you have the radio trigger set to. So I can just show you here. If I go into the menu here, I've just selected the group, and so at the moment it's group 1, and you can see that the logo is illuminated blue. If I change it to group 2, the logo changes to yellow, and group 3, and so on. So you've got different colors corresponding to the actual radio group. So I'll give you a basic description of how this works. So just the basics of the flash. If you want to go up one stop, it's this button here. It goes from 3.4 to 4.4 all the way to 6.3. If you want to go up in 1/10 of a stop, up or down, you just rotate this dial right here. So another interesting feature I wanted to mention is that when I changed the power of the flash, you can see the flash duration actually displayed in the bottom left of the digital display. So now I've put it down to say 0.7. That's a very low power. The flash duration is actually 1/8,000th of a second there. Press the button to go into the main menu. You can see the different main menu categories: radio, flash, photo cell, extras, and info. If you want to change anything on this, you just press the central dial and it goes into it. Then you can select what you want, click into it again, so I can change my frequency. I've got up to 20 different frequencies and I think 4 different groups, if I remember correctly. Let's just go back and back again. Okay, so this has 2 different types of flash mode. And in order to access that short flash duration, you have to have the mode set to action. This is the slave cell, on or off. And this has a whole load of different settings for the logo color, the sound of the flash recycling, and so forth. So this shows me the model, the number of flashes the unit has done, the firmware, and that kind of info. So the set I brought came with 2 16 centimeter 90-degree reflectors. So quite a wide reflector. Would have been nice actually to have a bit more of a narrow reflector come with it, as I do find those a bit more useful. Okay, so I'm going to make a quick comparison now between the ELC 500s and the BRX 500s, which I've been using for the last few years. So here is, we'll just close the case quickly so you can see. Here is the BRX 500 case. As you can see, it is a little smaller. However, I think I prefer the ELC 500 just because it's easier to fit the heads in and it's not quite so cramped. Let's have a look inside this BRX 500 case now. Here's the head. And let's compare that with the ELC 500 head. Let's get that out. Okay, let's put those side by side and just have a quick look, quick comparison of the two. As you can see, it's slightly, the ELC 500 is slightly shorter, not by much, but a little. The handle, I think, is much stronger. The BRX 500 handle felt quite flimsy to me, and the overall design and plastic feels slightly more flimsy, I think, on the BRX 500s. Here's the biggest difference though. I mean, the digital display compared to the buttons and numeric display, it's just so much better, I think, having the digital display. Easier to navigate all the menus and change the settings on the flash units. So a big win for the ELC 500 when comparing the back control panel. So what do I think of the ELC 500s and how would I rate them? So overall, I think they are a big improvement on, for instance, the BRX 500s I've been using for the last 3 years. They're much better built, they're more robust, I prefer the handles, they feel stronger. They don't feel so flimsy as perhaps some of the previous models of Elinchrom. Obviously, having the digital display is a massive advantage, and I much prefer controlling the power of the lights using the dial on the back and the buttons on the back. It's so much easier. So overall, I really like them, and also really like the way you can change the groups and the color changes to show the group. That's super useful because I do use groups on my Skyport transmitter. So what I can do, for example, is if I've got 2 lights on the background to light the backdrop, then I'll put those in one group, and I can see, exactly they're in the same group. I can choose, for instance, if I put them in group 2, I can switch to that on the Skyport transmitter, and then I can just adjust the background up and down, and both lights will adjust together independently of the key lights or the foreground lights. So what are the cons? Well, I have to admit there's not that many. So firstly, the power cord going in underneath, I'm not quite sure about that. It does look, from a design point of view, it looks kind of cool, because it frees up the back panel for the digital display and the buttons, etc. However, I can postulate that in a few years, I don't know, maybe it will loosen up and fall out quite easily. Okay, the second con is, I think, it really needs a dedicated dial for the modeling light. Instead of long pushing the button to get into the settings of the modeling light. It's okay if you just use the modeling light on proportional, but if you want to have it on free, then, I don't know, it's kind of awkward to go into that setting just to change the modeling light, I think. So the final con, and this is a very small one, but I will mention it anyway, is simply that when you're using the menu system and turning the dial and selecting choices on the menus, if you don't press the dial in and press enter, it doesn't accept that value. So for example, if you're changing the group from 2 to 3, the radio group, and you change it to 3 on the dial, and then you just press back, it hasn't accepted that value. What you need to do is change it to 3, then press the dial in again, and then that sort of locks it in to the system. So it's been numerous times when I've actually changed the setting and then just press back without pressing enter. It seems counterintuitive to have to press enter one more time. A very small thing, but I think they could maybe change that in maybe even a firmware upgrade in future. So are these Elinchrom ELC 500s actually worth the price? Well, they were about £700 each. I bought a set of 2 for £1,400. And for that I got a case, 2 heads, 2 16 centimetre 90 degree reflectors, power cables and manuals. So yes, I think that's pretty good value, especially considering all the new features that are packed into them, all the digital display, the short flash duration, the control of having a dial and an LCD display is so much better than just having buttons and a numeric display as it was in the BRX 500s. So a thumbs up from me. Really like these units, and maybe I'll do another review after a few years of use and report back to you. But that brings today's review to an end. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe to get more videos like this in future. And I will see you soon, guys. Take care. Peace.